Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kate Chin, a member of the class of 2008 and the Hall of Honor Selection Committee. Thank you for joining us today on campus to celebrate our distinguished honorees and Bowdoin Athletics. It is my privilege to introduce our 16th president, Safa Zaki.
Hi, everyone. It's so wonderful to see so many people here and to have a chance to celebrate athletics at Bowdoin and to do it in this particular space, this new space, Berry Mills Hall. What an amazing opportunity. I just wanted to take a few minutes to say a little bit about my time as president. It's been an amazing 5 months, getting to know this community and getting to know the people that make up this remarkable place. And in doing so, I've been spending time with students, including watching various games, various home games. I can tell from the sidelines just how much they put into those experiences. And I can tell from my conversations with students just how much these athletes, how much this athletics is a fabric of this place. It's just in the DNA. And I am therefore so very honored to be here as part of this celebration. One of the things that comes across when you watch students compete is that their heart is fully in it and that they are doing their best. So many alumni I have met over the past few months have talked about those experiences in athletics being so formative to who they are as members of society. And so I am so grateful to be working at a college where athletics is wound into the place in the way that it is. We have 6 outstanding alumni and a legendary coach to honor today, and so I'm going to turn it over to Tim Ryan. But in the meantime, I just want to say I look forward to seeing you in the stands and along the sidelines at many Bowdoin games in the years to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Safa. We're incredibly grateful for you being here with us today and for all the wonderful things that you've already brought to our community in the short period of time that you've been here. It's funny, I knew that we were going to be in good hands with Safa as our president in late August when we were doing a tour of our athletic facilities, and we were, some of our administrative team and people from the facilities management team were out by our men's soccer field, and I was doing a little history of the field and our program, and Safa stopped me about halfway through and said, "Tim, is the crown on that field bigger than you would normally see on a soccer field?" And she didn't know this at the time, but that had actually been a bone of contention between athletics and facilities for about a decade. So she got a lot of great laughs out of that crew, and I knew from that point on that we were going to be in really, really good shape. And as you mentioned, your time, with our students in the student section, and then tossing the coin before our football game on your inauguration day. It's just been great to get a chance to work with you. We appreciate all of your support of Bowdoin and of Bowdoin Athletics. At Bowdoin, we believe firmly that the athletic experience is an exceptional complement to the academic experience that students engage in the classroom. The lessons learned in the athletic arena provide an opportunity for our students to gain valuable experience leveraging success, failure, and working through adversity, in addition to working together toward common goals and nurturing relationships with people with very different lived experiences than their own. This allows for the development of leadership and communication skills that serve our students exceedingly well after their time on campus concludes. Our ceremony today provides an opportunity to celebrate members of our community that have excelled athletically while representing the special people and places that are our beloved Bowdoin College. Now in its 15th induction cycle, the Bowdoin Athletic Hall of Honor was established in 2002 to recognize Bowdoin's finest athletes and citizens. The Hall's purpose is to celebrate and perpetuate the memory of those who have brought distinction, honor, and excellence to Bowdoin through their athletic achievements. The nominee pool for the Athletic Hall of Honor is deep and stronger each year as more and more athletes and coaches become eligible. Our selection committee has selected an extraordinary class of 2023 inductees for us to celebrate this afternoon, and we're also very thrilled to be welcoming a member of the class of 2020 today as well. And as you will hear over the next 90 minutes or so, all of our inductees represent the very best that Bowdoin Athletics has to offer. The Hall of Honor Selection Committee spent many hours in the spring discussing hundreds of nominees spanning generations of Bowdoin athletes, administrators, and coaches. With such a large number of the college's most accomplished athletes to choose from, it's clear that the selection process was not easy. As an observer and provider of historical context to the committee, I can attest that selecting the inductees from this impressive group of candidates involved careful consideration of an enormous amount of material by members of our selection committee. We will forever be grateful for the work done by members of our committee, including Cliff Webster from the class of 1972, Matt Karras from the class of 1978, Nick Stoneman from the class of 1983, Sue Pardis from the class of 1986, Chris Roy from the class of 1992, Courtney Ruggles from the class of 2004, and Kate Chin, who we all met a few moments ago, from the class of 2008. Please join me in thanking them for their work in support of this effort. While you're on campus today for our induction ceremony, I hope you'll take a few minutes to stop by the Buck Center lobby to spend some time with our interactive digital display highlighting photos, stories, statistics, and pictures of each of our inductees. A list of past Athletic Hall of Honor inductees is also available in the back of your program, and I'd like to take a moment to recognize 6 inductees who are with us today. If you could hold your applause to the end, that would be great, and if our inductees could stand if they are able to be recognized. Dick Whitmore from the class of 1965, Jim Soule from the class of 1977, Al Quinlan from the class of 1977, Jean Roy from the class of 1984, Joe Gaffney from the class of 1995, and longtime coach John Cullen. Please stand and be recognized. Before we begin our ceremony today, I'd just like to convey a couple of thank yous in advance to 3 people without which this program would not have come together. I'm incredibly grateful for the willingness of David Peck from the class of 2018 to leave his work for NBC Connecticut to come back to campus today. David will be leading our conversations with our inductees. David, thank you very much for being here with us. And everyone associated with our Athletic Hall of Honor is incredibly grateful for the work done by our Assistant Athletic Director for Communications, Jim Caton. Jim puts together all of the biographical and statistical information for all of our nominees, is really active and engaged in the committee discussions, answering questions, and doing historical research to help support the work of our committee. In conjunction, we also get a lot of help from Secretary of Development and College Relations, John Cross, from the class of 1976. So please join me in thanking both Jim and John. Finally, our event today would not be possible without the extraordinary work and dedication of Lindsay Lassard, who is a Senior Associate Director of Alumni Relations. Lindsay is over here with Jim Caton. Thank you very much, Lindsay. Lindsay sometimes may think that we're a little crazy with some of the ideas that we throw in front of her during the course of the year, but she does a great job of hiding that from us. And she's an incredible partner, and we're really, really grateful for our work with you. So thank you, Lindsay. Congratulations to Dee, Danny, Nick, Kristen, Terry, Oscar, and Stephen on your induction into the Bowdoin Athletic Hall of Honor, your performance in your chosen sport, and then also the accolades that you have brought to Bowdoin through your work within our community and beyond have certainly brought distinction to the college and have set an incredibly high bar for our current student athletes to achieve. At this time, I'd like to welcome David to the stage as we are about to get our program started. In addition to being a member of the class of 2018, David was also a member of our football and baseball programs. So, David? Football and baseball. I think I said basketball. Baseball, sorry. That's going to be our only issue with the stairs throughout the entire program. Yep. Yes, exactly. To begin our ceremony today, please join me in welcoming Julia Arsenault to introduce our first inductee. Julia is a member of the class of 2023.5, and we are very thankful that she decided to come back this fall to complete her 4th season of eligibility with our field hockey team. A neuroscience major who will graduate later in December, Julia is a NESCAC All-Academic honoree and a 2-year starter at goalie. Julia has played an enormous role in supporting the experience of our student athletes on campus. She was the president of our Student Athlete Advisory Committee last year, and this year she is the chair of the Mental Health Committee within the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. So thank you for all that you have done to make Bowdoin a better place and for batting leadoff to get our ceremony underway. Julia?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Julia Arsenault, a member of the class of 2023 and a proud member of the Bowdoin field hockey team. I have the privilege of introducing our first inductee. Diana D. Spagnuolo, member of the class of 1996 and trustee of the college. Not only were you one of the most accomplished multi-sport athletes at Bowdoin, you are also among the most influential leaders within the athletics program. Not surprisingly, throughout your professional and personal life, Bowdoin and others have called upon you to provide critically important guidance, counsel, and leadership. At Bowdoin, you stood out for your remarkable set of athletic skills, your team-first commitment to making those around you better, and your natural ability to lead. A captain of the field hockey, women's ice hockey, and softball teams, your most notable achievements came in field hockey, where you built a legacy as one of the most accomplished goalkeepers for our storied program. Upon your graduation, you held 8 individual Bowdoin field hockey all-time records, including career saves, shutouts, and save percentage. In 1995, the year you led the team to the ECAC title, you were named a Division III All-American. A successful attorney and member of the management committee of a renowned national law firm, you have devoted much of your time and professional expertise to pro bono work on behalf of a wide range of clients. You have championed equal rights for women, notably in a case in 2017 in which you represented the U.S. women's national hockey team in a fight for equitable treatment from USA Hockey, the team's governing body. Immediately after you secured favorable terms for the players, the team avoided a boycott and went on to win a world championship, beating rival Canada in overtime. A natural and impactful leader, you have left an indelible mark on Bowdoin athletics, and you have continued to support and fight for women athletes throughout your career. We are proud to celebrate your induction into the Bowdoin College Athletic Hall of Honor.
Congratulations. And you have the honor of going first, too, which is great.
Let's get this party started.
This is as warm as it gets as far as a crowd, though.
Yes.
Alumni, new building, students, and the 7 inductees that we have here today. We'll just jump right into it. 12 seasons, 3 sports in your time here over the 4 years. But I understand it was actually maybe even more than just 3 sports. How did you get into playing every season, field hockey, ice hockey, and softball? And was that always the plan? And what was it like?
Yeah, so, you can have plans in life and then you can have what actually happens in life. So I was recruited to play ice hockey at Bowdoin, was committed to that, knew I also wanted to play softball, thought my field hockey career was done. Felt like I was going to focus on ice hockey and softball, and that's what I did my first year, although I wanted to make sure I was in good shape for ice hockey season, so I joined the rowing team, never having rowed before. I was not a good rower, but the team was very kind and they got me in shape. So that was terrific. The recruited field hockey player who was recruited to be at Bowdoin, to of course be an exceptional student, but also be the field hockey and lacrosse goalie, is my wife, Sasha Ballin, class of '96. And Sasha and we met in Hyde Hall our first year, and we were talking about field hockey. She was in season. I was talking about having been a field hockey player. And at some point that year, she learned that the more senior goalie, who was a member of the team, was not going to be returning. And she said, "You miss field hockey. Why don't you come out, walk on sophomore year?" She introduced me to the coaches, and I did. We shared time sophomore year, and then a sports injury, sidelined Sasha from field hockey moving forward. So I moved into the starting goalie position, but the lesson there is, always follow your heart and good things will come from that.
Exactly. And you never know what's going to happen. I mean, so many of the records that you have, as we just heard, were with field hockey.
Yeah. Even
though you played 2 other sports, do you know what record you have in ice hockey? Because you have one.
Okay, so for our 4 children who are sitting here, block your ears. I do know. Yeah,
and that one was?
Penalty minutes.
Penalty
yeah.
minutes.
But listen, the lawyer in me wants to make just an opening statement
on
that.
The floor is yours.
Okay?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I grew up playing with boys, right? So there was no programming for girls until my senior year of high school. So grew up learning to play hockey, and I was a defense person. Checking, that's what you do. So if you dig a little deeper, Dave, on that research, you will find that those are 2-minute minors for checking.
Okay.
Right? Okay.
Sending a statement, part of the game, I get it.
Okay.
How are you different as a player, from being a goalie in field hockey to ice hockey, and then softball is a totally different, situation. How were you as a player, even your role on the team, but how you acted, was one sport you had a different mindset that got you in the right place, or one sport you were more intense? Like, did you find yourself kind of being different in different sports?
For sure. I mean, if you think about being a goaltender in field hockey versus a defender in ice hockey, versus softball. So each one of those sports. In field hockey, as a goaltender, I think the other goaltenders in the room can understand this. This is a head game. This is a mental space game, because there may be long stretches of the game where you're not touching the action, but you need to stay focused, and you need to be directing your team as well, right, as the kind of the anchor of that defense. So I think that mental capacity to stay in the game and to be following the game and to just be ready, because one shot can make a difference, right? And I will say that I was so fortunate to be playing behind incredible athletes. So, I have the honor of holding some of those records for save percentages, but what those numbers don't tell you is that, was it the opponent's first choice shot that they were taking that I saved, or was it because Kathy Small or Gretchen Scharf or Christina Satter, all of those amazing, fierce, talented women in front of me, moved that offender to the side to get a lousy shot, right? So, but it's really a head game. With ice hockey, and it's so fast-paced, and so you have a 60-second shift. You have to have a short-term memory, right? So, whatever went well or didn't go well in the last shift, it's almost like it's a new game, the new shift, and it's moving quickly and it's fast. And I think that for me, my level of I'm looking at Coach Woodruff right now. Intensity with ice hockey, I think I probably had a shorter fuse in that sport than any other.
Well, the numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah, okay, touche. And in softball, I would say that, and I'm looking at Coach Cullen here, it was the most cerebral of the sports, because every pitch might be a different response that you need in the field, right? So if it's, 3 strikes on the batter, or if it's no outs versus 2 outs, if it's in the air, if it's on the ground. So there's a lot that you need to know cognitively of how am I going to respond when this ball comes to me. So just really different sports.
You speak about being cerebral and stuff. I mean, your time after Bowdoin, as we get into that, such a huge impact. You went into law, and then as we heard, working with the U.S. Women's National Team several years ago in gender equity issues. Could you talk about how you kind of got involved in that, and for those who don't know, maybe the circumstance around it as they kind of went into that gold medal year?
Yeah, so, and I continue to do work with them, but the initial contract, again, you can plan things in life and then things just happen. And I'll never forget it, sitting at my desk, my law firm, Ballard Spahr, has a very deep commitment to pro bono. And for years prior, one of our partners had represented the women on the women's soccer team. So from the late 90s to about 2015. And it was in late 2015, he had already announced his retirement. He walked down the hall and he said, I just got a call that I think that you need to know about and you need to be involved with. It was a call from 2 of the players on the women's national ice hockey team. He said, I know how to be a labor lawyer. I'm retiring. You know how many blue lines there are. I barely know that. Let's work on this together as I'm transitioning towards retirement. And what had happened, and this is really a reflection of just how close-knit women's sports are in this country, and particularly ice hockey. The growth of ice hockey has been incredible over the years, but the women on the women's national ice hockey team were talking to some of the former Olympians from the women's soccer team, sharing some of their stories about trying to advance and grow their individual sports. And the soccer women said, call Ballard Spahr, they'll help you out. So that started a relationship with the women on the women's national team. I started to dig into what their experience was. And one of the reasons that the partner asked me to do it wasn't just to teach them how many blue lines there are, but he said, I feel that you're going to be able to relate to their story and their journey. And I know that for the lawyers in the room, you can appreciate that one of the things that clients always say, I want you to be a good lawyer, but I want you to understand my business. I want you to understand how important my problems are. And I think that that's what I was able to do. I'd like to say it was amazing lawyering, but I think at the end of the day, being able to relate to them in a sport that has a long history of being a quote-unquote male sport, and many of them were not being paid at all. So they were not just focused, though, on compensation. They were focused on the next generation and making sure there was opportunity for the next generation. And they rightfully identified that in order to grow the sport for the next generation, they had to raise the visibility of the sport. They had to increase the opportunity to compete. So I'm going to put you on the spot, Dave. I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
How many games do you think the most elite women ice hockey players in this country were playing in a non-Olympic year?
As a team?
As a team.
Let's say 20.
8.
Wow.
So 8 games. That's how many opportunities they had to compete. Right? So, so we've grown that. We've increased their compensation so they don't have to work 2 and 3 jobs and be able to compete. And we've also done things like maternity benefits to secure their position on the team, give them an opportunity to come back after starting a family and be able to compete again. And I've really built some close friendships with those players, and they've gone on to do amazing things.
When you look back at your time at Bowdoin playing these 3 sports, what was there something that you took away from it that maybe helped you later on? Or is there something you look back on, like a lesson that you learned from having to balance 3 sports? And a lot of athletes do 2, but I don't know many who do 3, these days. Is there anything you learned from that experience?
I mean, I learned a lot from that experience. One of the things I was thinking about in terms of how does that translate to my profession, and I think about the style of my different coaches, right? So Mo Minikis and Sue Gorman in field hockey, and what their expectations were and what their style was and how they communicated with athletes. And I think about Mike Woodruff in hockey and how he communicated with us and what his expectations were and what his styles were. And John Cullen and Tim Gilbride in softball. And knowing that they might ask the same thing, which is excellent performance, put your heart into it, give it your all, don't leave anything in the tank when you walk off the field or off the ice. But the way that you deliver that is different for each one of those coaches and for each one of those sports. And you translate that into the professional environment. As an associate at a large law firm, I had a lot of bosses, right, at the same time. And any given day, I might be working on 2 to 4 different projects, different cases for different partners with different styles. And to be able to have that flexibility to say, okay, I'm going to pivot now and do it this way here and that way there, is something that I really think that I learned in athletics at Bowdoin.
You named some of the coaches. Is there any, thank yous, last thank yous before we wrap it up that, just pop in your head? Obviously, teammates, coaches, anything in that regard here?
Yeah. Well, first I want to thank the Hall of Honor Committee. So thank you for this really special day and for your vote of confidence. I certainly want to thank my coaches, and looking at 2 of them sitting here, it's just wonderful to see you both. And my family. So my wife, Sasha, and my children, Elio, Marina, Bo, and Dominic are here. My mom, talk about, being a hockey parent, the hours that she logged in cold rinks. And I grew up in New Hampshire. They weren't even rinks. It was just a roof, So, and my sister Lori is here as well, and as well as our friend Julie, my stepmother Josephina, and stepsister Marianne. So thank you. And I just want to say one more thing, and that's to the students who are in the room. I would be remiss if I didn't say to you, to really treasure these moments where, especially the student athletes who are here, where there's this amazing infrastructure around you to support you academically, athletically, and to grow as an individual. When you graduate, you don't necessarily have that whole team pulling for you once you're outside of the walls of this fine institution. So enjoy it. But also know, and this is, I think, more important than anything, that your relationship with the college doesn't end on the day that you graduate. And I have had so much fulfillment and joy from giving back to this institution, who took a chance on a first-time generation student who was probably a little rough around the edges and just created access to education, to network, to social mobility, and to really having a deeply rewarding experience with the college. So it doesn't end at graduation.
No, it doesn't.
So,
cherish it.
Thank
you so much.
Thank
Congratulations. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Congratulations, Dee. That's a great way to kick things off today. It's my pleasure now to welcome another goaltender to the podium, Izzy Cisneros from our women's lacrosse program. Izzy is a double major in economics and mathematics, member of the IWLCA Academic Honor Roll, and has played nearly 700 minutes in goal over the last 3 seasons for our women's lacrosse team. Izzy also has a special and unique relationship with our next inductee. Please join me in welcoming Izzy Cisneros.
Hi, everyone. I'm Izzy Cisneros of the class of 2023 and a goaltender for the women's lacrosse team here at Bowdoin. Today, I am honored to welcome my father, Danny Cisneros, into the Bowdoin Athletic Hall of Honor. Danny J. Cisneros of the class of 1984, one of the most skilled and accomplished goalkeepers in the history of Bowdoin men's lacrosse. You are celebrated even more by teammates, classmates, friends, and family for your leadership, strength of character, sense of purpose, passion, and generosity. A native of Colorado, you led your high school team at the Kent Denver School to 43 wins and only 4 losses, reaching the state championship game all 4 years and winning the title twice. At Bowdoin, you anchored a team that won 3 ECAC championships in 4 years, and your individual accomplishments were remarkable. You rank in the top 5 all-time at Bowdoin in single season and career save percentage, and single season and career goals against average. In 1983 and 84, your junior and senior seasons, you were named a Division III All-American. For one of your teammates, your greatest triumph was the ECAC Championship game of 1983. As a visiting team, you faced a hostile crowd whose taunts became increasingly malicious, even racist, directed against you personally. Rather than retaliate, you urged your angered teammates to rise above, and according to one, you were in a league of your own that day. After Bowdoin, you moved back to Colorado, where you have consistently and generously shared your skill and expertise with student athletes. Coaching at the University of Denver, the Kent-Denver School, Mullen High School, and Regis University, the father of 2 goaltender daughters, sorry, Mom, you have supported girls and women's lacrosse with enthusiasm and commitment, including leading the Mullen High School girls team to its first ever league championship and founding, directing, and coaching the Fusion Lacrosse program for girls. Cammie and I are eternally grateful for all the life lessons you have taught us through this amazing sport. Most importantly, the lesson that when quite literally everything is being thrown at you, the best way to respond is to step forward. For your extraordinary record of success at Bowdoin and beyond, your commitment to student athletes and the sport of lacrosse, and most of all, your leadership and dignity, even in the face of adversity, we are honored to celebrate your induction into the Bowdoin College Athletic Hall of Honor.
Congratulations. How cool is that? I mean, just that moment right there, to see your family here and your daughter and carrying in the legacy and the Bowdoin community, alumni and all that. What does it mean, just being back here?
It's hard to put in words because I'm very proud of both my daughters, especially because they really enthusiastically picked up the position. I know it's a tough one, and a lot of people, when they were growing up, thought I was pushing them to that position, but in reality, they had their chance to play field as well, and they both picked goalie position. So I'm very proud, very proud of them.
I was going to ask you, you come from Colorado to Maine, so both colder climates, but goaltender. Why goaltender, especially here when February 15th comes and it's 20 degrees and people are pelting balls at you? It's a winter sport, not a spring sport. What kept you going? Why'd you love it so much?
Coming from Colorado is nothing like being in the winter of Maine. So I have to tell you that it almost chased me home a few times in my career. The weather conditions to me didn't mean anything. I never thought of it in that respect. My journey to Maine was the reason I'm here, and I enjoyed it so much because it was almost an impossible journey for me. And that's what made dealing with the temperatures and everything special for me. So,
could you talk about that journey and why you ended up here? What was special about Bowdoin and bringing you from Midwest to the Northeast?
Truthfully, I followed a really good friend from Colorado, Mike Sheehan, who was class of 1983. My head coach in high school was also a player for Mort LaPointe, who was the head coach here. So basically, I had no idea about recruiting back then. I had never been east of Aurora, Colorado, which is a suburb of Denver. And so they both talked me into coming to play for Mort. And in fact, I never met Mort till the first day of spring practice. Today, I'm a college coach, and the recruiting is pretty intense. You get to meet the families, you get to meet all the kids. But I was pretty much at Bowdoin sight unseen. Never really thought about playing collegiate lacrosse, but I respected my teammate Mike and my head coach Tom enough to say that you can go back east and play, because coming from Colorado there, it wasn't as big as it is back here. So.
And when you did get here, 3 out of 4 years winning the conference championship, what was it like during that time playing for Coach LaPointe, and also just the culture of the team to have that much success during that period in a time where, like you said, maybe lacrosse wasn't as big as it is now? What was kind of that period like?
Well, again, back then we didn't have the resources that young ones do now. So Mort was pretty much it. We had an assistant coach that was a pilot in the Navy, and he'd show up when he could. So in that regard, it was a very close-knit team. He relied a lot on the seniors and juniors to be leaders when he wasn't able to do the defense while he was doing the offense and stuff. So the culture, I would say, was the biggest thing that made us so good. We were a very gritty team, close-knit. I have many teammates here today representing, and that's kind of the spirit of the 4 years that I was here. It was fabulous teammates that I still enjoy today. So,
are there any stories or moments that you think of that you look back on? And I'm sure there are a ton you can't say, especially with teammates in the crowd, but ones that you still think about first thing you do when you see him after 10 years. Oh, I can't, remember when we did this, that, and the other?
Well, my daughter mentioned the incident at Middlebury in 1983, and I had a classmate from high school that went to Middlebury, so they knew my name, they knew everything about me, and it was crazy. But back then, the fans could be behind the cage, behind the net. There was no big netting up or anything like that. And they were actually having a toga party on campus. So they were pretty riled up.
They're ready to go.
And so at halftime, I don't remember the score, but I remember coming off at halftime and not wanting to get back on the field because they were really, really close and giving it to me pretty good. And Charlie, Mark, the assistant coach, Navy pilot, really crazy guy, said, let's go warm up. And I said, Charlie, I don't want to go out there and warm up. I don't need to warm up. And he goes, no, let's go warm up. And I said, Charlie, I don't want to. And he goes, don't worry, I'm not going to shoot at you. I'm just going to throw the balls as hard as I can, miss the cage, and hit all the people. And I've never seen people in togas move so fast in my life. He just absolutely blew them up, and they didn't come back to that side of the field for that next quarter. So that one always gets me, and I think everybody in here was part of that, and really appreciate Charlie's personality when he was saying, get in there, and I'm like, don't do it.
That's amazing. I mean, similar to what I asked Dee, and you went on to coach.
Yes.
and so actively involved in lacrosse. How did your Bowdoin experience, and maybe even coaching lessons like that, even though it's not really a coaching lesson, but it is, how did that kind of influence you going forward here into the next chapter?
Well, I think I had two of the most fantastic coaches, one in high school and one in college, and they were exact opposites, if you can believe that. Those that know Mort. If there's an opposite of Mort, it was Tom. So really the influences I had being here and being coached by Mort and this culture is I really learned how to attack players as a coach from both angles, one the nice, one the not so nice, or with all honesty. It was just in my blood to coach after being coached by such wonderful men. So when I coached at all levels, and then I switched to the girls because of my daughters, and that was another experience that I had never done before, the emotional side, if you will. And so being here at Bowdoin and playing under those kind of conditions just allowed me to not get too emotional, too deep into something that really didn't matter. Like the racist thing stuff, I've never really even thought of it, ever. And that's the way I've approached coaching and livelihood. You just push on, keep going. As my daughter said, my biggest thing is to step forward, especially being a goalie. So.
Right. Any last thank yous or people you want to speak about?
As always, I think the biggest one would be my mother, who raised 4 kids by herself, and to get into Bowdoin, I had to commit to applying early decision, and I had to have an on-visit admissions meeting, and so my mother put me on a plane from Denver. I landed in Boston, and there was a gigantic storm, and so I had to sleep overnight in the airport in Boston, and then took the earliest plane to Portland. And of course, because of the delay, I did not get to my car service to campus. So I had to ask random strangers to give me a lift to Bowdoin College. So I thank my mom because she made me get on that plane and come by myself and get to Bowdoin. And I've been here ever since. Obviously, my coaches, my teammates, especially the big dogs in front of me. My defense, as Dee would say, as a goalie, you're only really as good as the people in front of you. You can make a crazy save here and there, but if they're not consistent, you're not going to get the accolades. You're not going to be consistent as well. My family, of course, my wonderful wife Molly, my 2 daughters that you've met, kind of. And of course, just all my teammates. It's been really amazing 40 years, actually, that we've been together. I've seen a few of them at tournaments here and there, and it's always so close. It's such a close knit.
Well, congratulations. Thank you so much, and welcome back. Thanks.
Congratulations, Danny. I'm pleased to introduce our next presenter, Julian Wantarena from our men's soccer team. A double major in visual arts and economics, Julian is a multi-time All-NESCAC and All-New England honoree who is also recognized as an All-American during his career at Bowdoin. Over the last 2 seasons, Julian has led our men's soccer team to a record of 22 wins, 5 losses, and 9 ties, and an appearance in the NCAA Elite Eight in 2022. Welcome, Julian.
Hello, everyone. My name is Julian Wantarena. I'm a member of the class of 2023 and the men's soccer team here at Bowdoin. And today I have the honor of welcoming the all-time leading scorer in men's soccer history into the Bowdoin Hall of Honor. Nicholas L. Figueredo of the class of 2008, the most prolific offensive player in the history of the Bowdoin men's soccer program, your vision, team play, and relentless scoring led the Polar Bears to an extraordinary 40 wins in your record-breaking 4-year career. To this day, your all-time Bowdoin men's soccer record for career goals still stands, a testament to your all-around game and ability to make your teammates better. You also remain first in Bowdoin men's soccer history for single-season assists and career points. Known as a clutch go-to scorer, you matched your record-setting tally of 11 assists by scoring 11 goals in your senior season, including providing the decisive goal for the Polar Bears 3 times. Your extraordinary performance throughout your senior year saw you named as the NESCAC Player of the Year, as well as the NCAA Division II First Team All-American. You were also named D3 Second Team All-American in 2006, and were named First Team All-Region and All-NESCAC 3 times each. In 2008, Bowdoin honored you as the most outstanding senior male athlete. Your unique ability to be both ruthless and unselfish in front of the goal drove the men's soccer team to a consistently elite level of success. For your extraordinary contributions to the men's soccer program at Bowdoin, we proudly celebrate your induction into the Bowdoin College Athletic Hall of Honor.
Congratulations. Nice scarf. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Coach Stahl put it around my neck.
That's
I haven't taken it.
Perfect. I mean, hearing that, I want to hear from people who watched you play and how magical it was. Like, you know.
Bring them up.
Yeah, who's there? Who can say? But no, I mean, and I've asked this question to everybody here, but I want to know, what about Bowdoin kind of brought you here? Because it's a fall sport. And it's beautiful in the fall, but outdoors, you're in Maine. What attracted you to Bowdoin to play soccer?
Yeah, it's a great question. So as with most student athletes here in the room, it all starts with that recruiting process. But really it began with my parents, Rosa and Leo. And so they always said, let soccer take you to a great place, right, to get you into a great college. And that recruiting process was grueling, right? It's stressful, probably some of the most high anxiety moments of our lives. And I remember going through it for about a year and a half, right? Starts late sophomore year in high school. And they were all just there, the calming presence to kind of walk me through it. And I visited a lot of schools. There was a lot of heartbreak. This coach might not like you enough, or this school can't help you get in. You got to get in on your own. So it was when I came here to Bowdoin when I really felt it. And so I had a couple teammates of mine from St. John's Prep in Danvers, Mass, a couple hours away, who had preceded me at Bowdoin. They were teammates of mine there at St. John's, and I asked them for their advice, and I'd followed the program a little bit with them. But then I had come with, at that point in time, a present teammate of mine, Michael Howard. And so the two of us were in the same class in high school. We both came up for a recruiting trip, and we got in the car after our overnight stay and looked at each other and we're like, we're going here, right? Like, this is it. So that was the moment. It was when I came for my on-site visit, met some of the team, stayed overnight with them, met with the coaches, that I got really excited about the program. So. And
the coach that recruited you was different than maybe the coach you played for later on in your career. And Dee spoke about having different coaches and maybe the different approaches and how maybe it helps with later in life with different bosses that you have. What was the difference between Coach Shane Scoff and Coach O'Leary?
Yeah, Dee made a great point. They do teach you very, very different things. It gives you different perspectives on life. I think at the end of the day, both of them made me a better player and a better person, a better man. I certainly learned a lot from both of them, but for those in the room, I think there's a couple of us who knew Brian, and he's still around coaching in the Boston area. I mean, he was a firecracker. Like, that dude, his vocabulary was exceptionally colorful. There are words that can't be repeated in this room that he would use on a consistent basis. But the thing is, some guys don't respond to that kind of direct criticism. I did. So I liked the fire. I'm a very competitive person at heart, and so I responded really well to that. Brian left after my freshman year, and I was devastated. I remember where I was standing, crying with a couple of my teammates, legitimately in tears, thinking to myself, like, this is it. I'm transferring. This is the end of it.
Where were you standing?
Standing right outside my dorm room, main hall. Yep. And I convinced myself I was transferring. That was it. It was like, I'm done. But then obviously the emotions kind of get the better of me in the moment. You take some time and relax. And we welcomed Coach O'Leary, and he's, he could certainly get fired up in certain situations, but I think at the end of the day, Coach O'Leary was a great coach. It's a different style of play from Brian. Brian was more of a, hey, we're going to put the ball on the ground and we're going to play. We're going to pass to each other. We've got good soccer players. Whereas Coach O'Leary was a little bit more of, hey, we're going to build athletes. We're going to run these teams into the ground. And I don't know if you guys noticed, I'm 5'8", not very tall, but I've never won more headers in my life with the style of play that we played. So I had to jump high, run harder than I ever thought I could run. So as I said, Coach O'Leary challenged me in many ways as well. But both of them, great people, great coaches, and made me a better player, better person.
All-time leading scorer, I think it's safe to say, yes. But how did you balance, or I'm sure it wasn't even conscious, or maybe it was, all-time leading scorer, but then you're also the single-season assist leader, and points as well. Does it take a different sort of mindset to be doing both those parts of the sport, or is it just what the defense gives you? Like, what did it take to kind of to produce like that in different ways?
Yeah, it happens organically, Dave. Like, there isn't a moment where you go into a game and you're like, I'm strictly going to pass the ball. I mean, as a forward, you're like, if I don't score, I had a bad game. So that was my mindset, was if I didn't score, it was a bad game. I think my father has said those words many, many times. It's obviously far from the reality, right? And so it's organic, and you're in the moment, right? And you're finding yourself in a position where, as a striker, you're crashing the box, right? You're putting yourself in a position where you're going to get that goal. But oftentimes, setting up teammates was a byproduct of that, right? Like I'd flick a ball on, or take a ball in, control it, lay it off to a teammate, he'd score. So it's a little bit of both, but there's never a conscious decision. It's whatever the team gives you.
Was there a moment that stood out to you? Something that you think of, a year, something Coach said to you that you still look back on? Because everybody in this room who's played a sport remembers something a coach said or a moment with teammates. Do you have that, something that kind of jumps out as I put you on the spot here?
Man, coaches said a lot of great things. I'll save one for the end because it's a little bit more motivational for everyone in the room. But I think some of my greatest moments, thinking back on, obviously there were plenty of goals, and those are great. I remember the one against Colby. Luke Welch sends me in with about 3 minutes left. We're tied 1-1 at home, so 3 minutes remaining, puts me through in a breakaway, buried the goal. And I'll tell you, beer never smelled and tasted so good. I ran over the crowd, and I think I got a keg of beer dumped on my head, and I was soaked for the rest of the game, but it was awesome. I scored a great goal against Tufts University, which is right in my backyard. My family's all in the greater Boston area, so my aunts, uncles, cousins, mom, dad, brother, sister, everyone there. I'll never forget the night before, called my father for advice and said, hey, Coach just informed us at practice that, normally there were 4 seniors that were starting. He benched everyone except for me. Like, what the heck am I supposed to do here? There's no leadership, right? Our captain's on the bench. And, my dad just said, hey, you got to go out there and do your job, basically. And so scored a great goal in that game. I think I rounded the keeper, tucked it in by myself. That was a great one. The funniest memory that comes to mind is I wasn't involved directly, but I got wind from a third party. We were playing Amherst College in the NESCAC semifinals my senior year, and I found out, I don't remember if I found out before the game or after the game, that their entire back 4 had to carry a doll around all week to classes, to practice, with my face on it. So they were not allowed to do anything without me being right there by their side, and maybe it worked halfway. I scored a goal. We went up 1-0. We lost 2-1. So they did shut me down after that first goal. But, man, that was a memory I still tell to this day. And we played against a lot of great players. I still see those guys, the center backs from Amherst College and in various leagues around the Boston area. Andrew, who's Scott's assistant here, played at Middlebury. He was a great player. I remember him breaking my legs a couple times. But no, I'm just teasing.
But, if they're booing you or heckling you or carrying your face around, it means you're in their head.
I loved it. I loved the heckling. Like certainly inappropriate things get said, and those things aren't good. But it was always in good fun. It made me competitive. It gave me an edge. So that part of the game I miss.
What does it mean to be here with all the Bowdoin, not all the Bowdoin athletic community, but many people, and to have the all-time leading goals record still exist, this long? What does it mean to just be sitting here with that scarf around you, right back at home?
Yeah, this is incredible. I mean, I always looked at it as I hope the record gets broken, because if that were the case, then the team is clearly having success and the program is having success. I remember a couple years after I left, the program made its first Final Four, and I couldn't have been more proud. I was ready to jump on a plane, but unfortunately I had a bunch of stuff going on at work, it sounds like a cop-out, but it was the truth. But honestly, I think being in front of the current team who, as I said to a few people here, I lived next to Tufts University for many, many years. My wife and I just moved 3 days ago, so it's sad to leave it. But watch the guys come play down at Tufts many times, watch the quarterfinal heartbreak this year. So it means a lot to be in front of them, to see them, to meet a lot of them. They're all great players. They all look like great men as well. So I would just say, congratulations to everyone here, current student athletes, the parents, relatives, family, coaches, training staff, everyone who's helped make Bowdoin Athletics what it is today.
Any thank yous or final remarks, things that you would like to say or people you'd like to thank?
Yeah, there's too many. I'm going to forget names. All the coaching staff from my 4 years at Bowdoin, Coach John, Coach Daly, Coach Healy, Coach Brian Aingekoff, Coach Fran O'Leary, Megan, our trainer, who I think wrapped my ankles, hamstrings, and knees pretty much every day senior year. Everyone in the athletic department that helped make our game day fields look incredible. Facilities were amazing. Everything was always ready to go. So thank you all. And most importantly to my family, my brother, my sister who aren't here, my wife who isn't here. She's on an awesome Christmas stroll in Nantucket, planned before we knew about this date, so good for her. And most importantly, my mom, Rosa, and my dad, Leo. My father's my inspiration. He's the best coach I've ever had, former professional soccer player himself. So Everything I learned on the field, I learned from him. And I'd just like to close by saying, one thing that Coach O'Leary did say to us was, remember that some of your worst days at Bowdoin will still be some of the best days of your life. So keep that future-oriented positive thinking into perspective and enjoy yourselves here.
Well said. All right, congratulations, Nick. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
Congratulations, Nick. Very well said. I'd now like to welcome Ella Haugen from our volleyball program to introduce our next inductee, a double major in Earth and Oceanographic Sciences and Psychology. Ella was recognized 3 times as an all-NESCAC honoree during her career, while leading our volleyball program to multiple NCAA tournament appearances and the 2021 NESCAC Championship. This season, Ella led the NESCAC in assists and finished 4th all-time in program history with 2,895 assists. Welcome, Ella.
Good afternoon. I'm Ella Haugen. I'm a member of the class of 2023 and a senior on the volleyball team here at Bowdoin. It's my pleasure to welcome our next honoree, Kristen Hansor, into the Bowdoin Athletic Hall of Honor. Kristen J. Hansor of the class of 2012, among the most dominant players in the history of volleyball at Bowdoin, your fierce determination, natural skill, and relentless drive lifted our program to new heights while rewriting the individual and team record books in the process. Your arrival at Bowdoin ushered in a new era for the volleyball program, improving the team's record from 17-17 to 27-3 over your 4 years, including a historic undefeated 10-0 NESCAC conference record in your senior season. A 2-time captain of the team, your prowess at the net was legendary. Your 12 blocks in a single match in 2011 stands as the most in program history, and your career total of 401 blocks remains the most all-time in Bowdoin volleyball by a significant margin. Most important to you, however, was that in 2011, your senior year, you achieved your goal of helping Bowdoin to win its first ever NESCAC championship, leading to a first ever berth in the NCAA tournament and a first ever win in that tournament. That year, you were named NESCAC Player of the Year and were selected as a Division III All-American, the first Bowdoin volleyball player ever to receive either of those honors. Your commitment to and impact on the program did not end with your graduation, however. You returned to Bowdoin as an assistant coach in 2014 and 15, helping to sustain the team's success during a transitional period and working as an advocate for sustainability in athletics as Bowdoin's Sustainability Outreach Coordinator. In those 2 years, you helped lead the volleyball team to records of 23-9 and 26-5, as well as a NESCAC championship in 2015 and an unprecedented run to the NCAA Division III quarterfinals. For the monumental role that you have played in building the success of the Bowdoin women's volleyball team, as a groundbreaking standout player, an inspirational captain, and an influential coach, we are pleased to celebrate your induction into the Bowdoin College Athletic Hall of Honor.
Congratulations. I mean, when you hear all that, what do you think of? You know, a team that, not to jump right into it, but totally transformed, a program that totally transformed from the time you got there to the time you left, and even after. What's your first thought, just hearing that?
Well, I definitely have to give a lot of credit to the coach at the time, who's here, Karen Corey, who took on a group of girls who had a lot of big dreams, but hadn't really seen as much success at the Bowdoin program. She was able to build a team of not only strong players, but also really great people. And volleyball, one of the things I love so much about the sport, it has a rule where the same person cannot touch the ball twice. That is a rule. So you have to play as a team. You have 6 of you in a relatively small space. Everyone has a very defined role, and you have to do yours well. And in order to do yours well, you have to trust that everyone around you is going to do theirs well. So the people that she was able to bring into the program had that genuine love for the game, humility, and just the ability for us to say, hey, why not us? Why don't we give this a shot? And when I was recruited, I think Bowdoin had been like 7th kind of consistently. And one of my first meetings with Karen, I sat down in her office and I said, by the time I'm a senior, I want to win an SCAC championship. And she knew how much I meant it. And she looked back at me and said, I will do everything I can to make that happen. And that understanding, the confidence that she gave me, the confidence she gave our team to know that we would continue to just grow as a unit. We got better every year. We slowly moved up as the years went on to then be able to finally win senior year and make history in the program. It was just an amazing journey.
The confidence that you had to come in on your recruiting trip and say that, where does that come from? I remember mine. I was yes.
Oh no, this was once I was in
once
in
you
the
were
program.
In, early on.
I had very little confidence as a recruit because I was actually a basketball player. I had done the whole recruiting process to play college basketball, and my senior year of high school, so I started playing volleyball in high school, which to the most volleyball players in the room is a little bit late in the game, but it was to stay in shape for basketball. It was fun, it was new, it was just, I felt like I was growing a lot more, and so I didn't really know that I could play volleyball in college until one of my coaches said, why don't you give this a shot? So we went to a community center, we set up a camera. I don't even know the kind of footage we put together, and we sent it off to people. And I'm embarrassed to say that to the girls in the room who, the websites and the things that girls have now is just crazy. But to then have coaches then be interested, I did have this hesitancy of, can I do this? Can I switch sports this late in the game? And I just felt from Karen the ability that I could, and she was going to do everything I could as long as I put in the time and I put in the effort. She thought I could be good. So when I came in and I said, I'm going to do everything I can to help the program for you, and she said the same thing to grow me as a player, and that mutual respect and that just drive that we both had was defined our commitment to grow the program and make it into what it is.
And you set the goal and you ultimately accomplished that goal in 2011. Could you just take us through that season, things you remember? Obviously for you, extremely successful, but as you said, you can't touch the ball twice in volleyball. So, memories you have, and early on, did you sense it was kind of reaching a point where we have this, everything, all the process we put into, it's gonna come together here?
Yeah, so like I said, my freshman year we were 7th. I think my sophomore year we were 5th in the conference. My junior year we were 3rd. So we knew we were getting there and we were getting close. And we had a lot of preseason meetings as a team, and we needed everyone on board. I mean, volleyball is a relatively small team, and like I said, everyone really needs to own their job and really trust each other. So we had a lot of preseason meetings, and we decided as a group that we were all in, and we were going to try as hard as we could to make it the best year that we could. We also had to implement or wanted to implement a lot of reminders of, the season gets tiring, you have school, it's hard to be a college athlete. There are days you show up and you really don't want to go to practice, or you don't really want to give it your all. And so Karen came up or found this story, long story, I won't go into it. It had something to do with X marks the spot, and we all just latched onto it. So we were able throughout the season to make these little comments to each other if someone was having a hard day in practice, or to use this vision that we had all this silly, ridiculous story that we all just latched onto, and we're able to use that. We also, my co-captain and I, printed out all the logos of all the NESCAC teams, and we put them on the wall in our locker room. And with the X marks the spot theme, we, at every game that we won, we would give a clipboard to someone who had done something good that day, as either playing or not, to be the first person to put an X over the logo, and then we'd pass around the clipboard and everyone would put an X. And then we put it back on the wall. We had no idea how that was gonna go, but turns out every game and every time we went in the locker room, we saw those logos and we saw those X's. And by the end of the season, there were 10 of them, and we had beat every team in the conference. So we really we found a way to first make sure everyone was on board, find ways to make that vision consistent every day, reminders, this is really what we want. And that just helped us find a lot of success in the season. We then hosted for the first time the NESCAC Championship, which we got to sleep in our own beds, we got to be in our locker room, we ate Bowdoin food, which definitely is an advantage. And so just like the pride that we had of finally hosting this tournament that we had always traveled for, that we had never won, to be in our home gym was just truly amazing. And my parents are here, and other volleyball parents are here, and the parents were so into it. I mean, they had a dinner for us, and they made a slideshow, and they put all these like home and like all these songs together we had no idea they were so invested. So we were also reminded by all of the people that we were really coming from not that much as a program. And so it was great. So yeah, then we hosted the tournament. We ended up winning the championship. We played Middlebury, and the last point was a really long rally. And I remember making eye contact with my setter, and she set me the ball. I got the final kill, dropped to the ground. My whole team came over, and for us to have achieved that goal that seemed so crazy 4 years ago in our gym with everyone around us, it was truly like the best memory.
Wow. Are there lessons from that? I'm sure there are, but because you went on to be an assistant, you came back and Bowdoin wins again in that 2015 year, you as an assistant. As the leader of the team that was able to pull it off in 2011, kind of the bridge to really creating Bowdoin volleyball in the successful era there. Did you see similarities, and what similarities, and did you bring over lessons, or what did you tell that 2015 team? What was it like?
Yeah, so my first year I came back to coach, I took a job at Bowdoin in sustainability. Coaching was not my main focus, but Karen was still coaching and said, you should be my assistant. And it was not a full-time role at the time, so it was perfect for me. I could have a job and still coach with her. And working with Karen after playing for her, we had built this foundation of respect. I respected her as a coach. She respected me as a player. I also wasn't that far removed from the girls on the team, and so I think I was able to connect with them in a way that was very unique. I knew what they were going through, and I also could talk to Karen, hey, this is my idea, what do you think? I think this might work with the girls. And so I think her experience as a coach and then my connection to the program and to the girls was a really good combination for us to be able to hear each other and figure out what would work best. And then she got a wonderful personal opportunity to move to Europe, and I didn't know what to do because I was planning to stay on as a coach for the next year, and Bowdoin volleyball for me was always Karen. And they brought on Erin, and unsurprisingly, she is amazing. And she fell in love with Bowdoin immediately. I think for me, I felt very protective of my history, of the players. I'm like, if you're gonna be a coach on this team, you need to love Bowdoin volleyball. And she bought everything you can think of with a polar bear on it. Every article of clothing was black and white. She fell into it and proved that she was going to listen to me, hear my story, respect the history, and also take it forward and continue to grow. So it was a different experience coaching with Erin because we didn't really know each other, but we just hit it off and had the absolutely incredible, fantastic year. We had so much fun. I would do that year over and over and over again. For me to be able to help that transition between my generation of Bowdoin volleyball and this new generation was really special. And she brought such a fire and a new angle to the program that then led us to host and win our second ever championship and then go to the Elite Eight, which was amazing. So I'm just so grateful. It's very rare that student athletes get to coach and that also get to be part of the transition of the program. And I'm grateful to Karen for building it and to Erin for everything she's done to keep it going.
And still wearing black and white, right?
I know, see?
Not that
very
a lot
on
of us
brand.
are at this point. Any last thank yous or moments that you look back on, or any last remarks that you want to say as you kind of think back on your accomplishments and the team's accomplishments?
I would pretty much thank most of the people here in the room who first put on this event, but also here to support me. So my parents are here. They not only helped me be an athlete my entire life, but they listened to me when I moved into my dorm room and I said to them, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I'm going to be good. I don't think I'm going to play. Maybe I just should not even bother doing this. To then being in the gym the day that we won the NESCAC championship, they were there for the whole road. So thank you to them for all of their support. And my brothers, who I believe are watching on live stream, they also were huge support systems for me throughout my entire career and still are my best friends today. So thank you. My husband, who's here, who I also met at Bowdoin, he actually has never seen me play because we met 5 months after my season was over. But we've been together now almost 12 years, and he is just the kindest, most supportive person, and I'm grateful to have met him here. My aunt and uncle who live nearby, they come to all of my games, basically, and my cousins, so thank you for being here. The Haskells, who, if you don't know, you should. They are incredible parents of the program. RD still sends out weekly emails to all the parents to keep the Bowdoin volleyball program tight-knit, and it's just amazing. Judge Woodcock and Beverly are here, very dedicated alumni to Bowdoin. Actually, Judge officiated our wedding last year, so keeping that Bowdoin commitment alive. And lastly, I know I've talked a lot about Karen and Aaron, but to you both for helping me grow as a person, as a player, as a coach. I truly would not be here without you both, and I'm very, very grateful. Of course, lastly, my teammates who have just the desire that they brought to this program, the commitment, the ability to help me grow as a person and a player, and the program grow. The bond that we all have, this unique experience of being Bowdoin volleyball players. We still go back to games, we still cheer each other on, and I'm grateful for that. And the girls here, I'm excited to meet you all after this, but I love the drive that I continue to see and just keep loving Bowdoin volleyball because it's a really, really special program. It's a special group of people, and I'm excited to have you guys join the family.
All right, congratulations. Thank you so much, Kristen. Thank you.
Congratulations, Kristen. Our next presenter is a senior on our men's ice hockey team, Andy Stoneman. Andy is a computer science major and a physics minor, and he was the team's leading scorer last year with 10 goals and 15 assists, with his most important points of the year coming in our most important game, the NESCAC championship game against Williams, where Andy had 2 goals and assisted on the game-winning goal in overtime. At our first game this winter for this season, Andy led an incredible effort to put together a fundraising activity in support of the Maine Community Foundation's Lewiston Auburn Response Fund. That effort raised over $4,500 to support our fellow Mainers in the Lewiston Auburn area, and is a great sign that the commitment to the common good is alive and well within our men's ice hockey program. Please join me in welcoming Andy Stoneman.
Good afternoon. My name is Andy Stoneman, and I'm a senior and a captain on the men's ice hockey team. It is with tremendous pride that I induct Coach Terry Mahar into the Bowdoin Athletic Hall of Honor. Legendary coach of men's ice hockey, Terrence A. Mahar, better known as Terry, or Coach Mahar, your extraordinary record of wins, NESCAC and ECAC championships, NCAA tournament appearances, and coaching awards only hint at the profound impact that you had on the Bowdoin athletic program and generations of student athletes. In 33 years at Bowdoin, you created a legacy of consistent excellence, unwavering support for students, and deep engagement with the college community. I know I speak for all of us in the program when I share our congratulations for your achievement today and our gratitude for all you did during your tenure at the helm, leading and furthering the legacy of Bowdoin hockey. Predating your future coaching success was your standout undergraduate hockey career as a forward at Boston University. In your time at BU, you led your team to 3 NCAA Division I Final Four appearances. In 1975-76, your senior season, you captained the ECAC Division I championship team, led the team in scoring, and were named the ECAC Tournament Most Valuable Player. You took over the Bowdoin men's ice hockey program as head coach in 1983, succeeding Bowdoin icon Sid Watson, whose 326 wins were, at the time, the most in the history of the college. You proceeded to eclipse that total, winning 542 games, as well as 3 NESCAC titles, 2 ECAC titles, and qualifying for the NCAA tournament on 6 occasions. Honestly, our team was planning on wearing our NESCAC championship rings from this past season in your honor today. But with your 5 titles, it sort of pales in comparison, so we decided to leave them at home. Your legacy at Bowdoin and in the sport of hockey is monumental, as you ended your career as the 6th winningest coach in the history of NCAA Division III men's ice hockey. You were honored 3 times as the New England Coach of the Year, and twice in 1986 and 1989, you received the highest honor in collegiate hockey, National Coach of the Year. Additionally, you served in several other capacities within the Bowdoin Athletic Department, including a long tenure as head coach of the men's golf program. In recognition of your significant influence in the many student athletes who considered you not only a coach, but also a mentor, as well as your extraordinary contributions to the Bowdoin men's ice hockey program, the college's athletics program, and the entire sport of collegiate ice hockey, we are proud to celebrate your induction into the Bowdoin College Athletic Hall of Honor. Congratulations, Coach Mahar.
It all worked out. It's gloomy outside. You're not missing any golf. Happy to be here. I've never been to Brunswick and you're not there. True fact. Not that you knew. Congratulations. I mean, so many accolades, legendary career, player, coach. First, how did you, as much success as you had at BU as a player and throughout your playing career, what drew you to Brunswick, Maine?
Many things. First and foremost, my experience at Williams College was fundamental, I think, in pursuing this type of coaching in this type of an environment, philosophically and so on. And I remember fondly my days at Williams and being mentored by some great coaches, legendary coaches. Not only that were they great coaches, but they were great athletes in their time. But remember many days in LaSalle Gym and that kind of rampart up there, and it had a little slot. I looked out and I just said, And so that was with me for a long time. Went to Clarkson, and then obviously this position opened, and Bowdoin hockey really mattered across the divisions. So came in, and then now Maine, and the area was very important. Maybe I said I'll stay for 10 years and see how it goes, and 10 becomes 20, and 20 becomes 30, and now we have family. So yeah, it was probably that Williams experience prior, post-playing and prior to Clarkson that the NESCAC was firmly implanted in my mind.
When you come in here in 1983, obviously following Sid Watson, close friend, what was that like for you, coming in here in the first couple years and following an equally great, legendary coach, doing maybe what he did, but also obviously creating your own program? How did you balance that? What was it like, and what were some of the challenges, if there were some?
Great question, and the good thing, I knew Sid would be there, and Sid would be there as my boss and my mentor, and that obviously proved to be accurate. But just him, his personality, meeting him, his competitive nature right down the road. So we developed a friendship right off the bat. It was more of a friendship than a working relationship, but he would be firm and when needed. And then the silly sport of golf, we started playing, and I think our relationship just blossomed after that time. But Sid's an interesting guy. There's a lot of people in this room right now that played for him and worked under him. But sitting here in this setting, it's not lost on me. Barry Mills Hall, who's a good friend. I'm probably sitting where the goal was. I feel like I should have brought my whistle and stick as like a coach, or as I'm looking out and I'm seeing all these faces, I feel like I'm giving an in-between period talk. So it's, but Sid, and he cared deeply, not only for his staff, but that we did things right in the tradition of the program went. But also, we were very much in concert in how we believe the game should be played.
Well, what would one of those in-between period chats sound like for those of us not in the locker room from a Coach Mahar-led team? Maybe in 1983 or in 2015.
If I could have a couple of these guys stand up,
Yeah, right.
we had some confrontations with. But yeah, it hasn't changed much from then to where it is now. You have a brief time to be in there. It's just rebooting, reorganizing, trying to get yourself ready for the next tournament. I mean, next period. So, but yeah, I'm looking at a lot of these faces out there, and there's a couple of gray hairs that came through that. But no, it was a locker room that if you saw it today, you wouldn't believe that we actually were in it. It was, we'd be sitting and I'd be here and you'd be here. We'd be teammates, and that's all we had in the hallway. So talk about team unity.
Yeah, right.
Bring teams
You had no
together.
choice. You better like each other.
And I knew, and maybe I shouldn't go in if people had their legs out and everything, so I'd go in the room and just back off.
Is there something like, as a coach, that you took away specifically from Sid Watson and carried on, and maybe as you went through your decades, 33 years, you held on to, but then maybe you evolved as a coach yourself?
Yeah, Sid, because of his varied experience, not only was he an accomplished ice hockey coach, football coach, lacrosse coach here at Bowdoin, he played almost 4.5 years in the NFL, so he was very experienced and had a really good understanding of the skills and the effort and hard work that's needed to be successful in this business. So, you know, he was there, and what I took most from Sid is represent the right way, play the game the right way, play an honest game. Funny story on Sid, but he was really into it. I can tell you that. I remember we're playing a game in Dayton Arena, and I think it was Colby. We were tied 2-2, maybe after 2 periods. And Sid came down into the coach's room, which is adjacent to the locker room. And he walks and he paces back and forth, doesn't say anything, and I'm kind of looking at him. Then he just bolts out and he goes out to the door on the side and goes out into the darkness and the snow. And I was more worried about whether he was going to be okay than what was going to happen in the third period. But he cared deeply. He cared. And Sid was a unique individual. He had a great sense of humor and a very, very quick wit. But he was one of those individuals that I don't think he knew how funny he really was. So he was just a great guy to be around.
For you specifically, 3 NESCAC titles, 2 ECAC titles, 5, if my math is right. How did those teams differ? You know, and did you have to coach them in a different way? And what do you remember from some of those teams in two
championship teams?
In 2 different eras.
Yeah, it was interesting. If you look, I get asked quite often, you know, who are your best teams? I don't think our best teams, talent-wise, necessarily became champions, because it requires a lot. Winning's hard; it's not easy. It requires breaks, a lot of luck, and so on. So some team, but it just. But the thing was that we try to be on that ascending plane at the end of the year and hit the 1 and out of the tournament, playing our best, and have all the team stuff and the locker room stuff and team philosophy and all that in place. And we just got lucky, you know. We got lucky. We played a lot of great teams, great competitors who had great athletes, but a little bit of luck.
What does it mean to be here with the success you've had? And also the record, most wins as a coach, men's hockey. What does that mean?
Yeah, the wins are, you know, somebody needs to sit here, and I played my last game in 1976. It's the players who win the game. You know, the old saying, players win, coaches lose. But yeah, just in reflection and reflecting back, it's just the wonderful players we've had here and the good people, and where I was really blessed when I first took the position, I had a group, I think, of 12 seniors, and they welcomed a young greenest grass coach, and we were able to move that forward. So it's very special to have good people who will accept your coaching, will accept you, your leadership, accept a lot of things. So yep, there was good people.
As you said, this is where one of the goals was, exactly.
Oh,
for many of your.
Yeah, the goals right here, and locker rooms right Sig over there.
You can picture it. Close your eyes and you're right back in it.
Kappa Sig over here.
Any memories, especially from Dayton?
Yeah, a lot of memories.
That
the
stand
memories
out?
I have most probably go back. You know, we have the new I guess the Watson Arena and the legacy there, and the stories are evolving. But this building and this particular site is very special for a lot of people in this audience and a lot of former students. But there's a lot of things that I recall. For some reason, I got this Dickie Donovan scoring the winning goal against Vermont in my mind imprinted, and I'm not even a Bowdoin grad. And to hear people, the Bruins have their Flying Bobby memory in a photo. We have our Dickie Donovan scoring that goal. So that sits with me. The other thing, too, is just the great players and the great people that performed here in so many exciting games. But it was a festival. It was a party. We would ready for the game. It could be it could be any game. The building's packed. And fashionably late would come the Kappa Sig group with all their pots and pans and dishes and spoons, and it would be like a Mardi Gras parade coming across the street. Maybe after the Medis had sang the national anthem, and it just was a festive time. It was pretty special. Very close to the dorms, very close to everybody can just walk from the dining hall over here. So I remember that. I also remember outside, like I said, the great games and the great players. We won the championship here, and then we had a packed house, and everybody does a celebrating, and they throw their gloves up in the air, and everybody's excited. And I look out, and the entire ice is full of students, right? But I'm looking at all these gloves, and I'm looking at all these sticks, and being Division III, I said, "Oh, there goes my budget." I said to myself. So I'm out there picking up these sticks and gloves. I'm going to look at kids bumping into me and seeing if somebody. And I said, "This is crazy. I'm going to celebrate with them," and I just threw them in and celebrate. That, and then another memory, which I don't think people talk about very often, is when probably the most people I've seen at athletic events, combined athletic events at Bowdoin, was when we had to beat Merrimack. I think in our second year, I think Mark Smythe scored the goal, beat Merrimack, who is a school with 15 scholarships, and it was a tough battle. He scored the winning goal. Basketball's playing Colby, I think, who were #1 in the country at that time, and that gym was packed, and our game got over a little bit before their game, so all the people from here went into the gym. People were outside the gym, outside of Dayton Arena, and there had to be 5,000-6,000 people around here, and that was pretty special.
What is the Bowdoin athletic community? Because even after you've stopped coaching, you're around it, you're in it. What does it mean to you? And any final remarks or thoughts that you have for people being here, and even the current team standing here before their big game tonight?
Good luck tonight, guys. Go get them. Sorry.
Just any closing remarks or memories?
Closing remark, yeah, obviously there's a lot of thank yous. First, have to thank my family, Nancy, Jennifer, grandkids. I hope I kept you awake a little bit. Then the thing that's really hard is to thank all those that made it possible, my colleagues in the department, alums, former players, faculty, staff. I can really go down that list. But the people I have to thank the most are the players. And they've not only performed well when they're here, and it was great to coach them. They have become longtime supporters of the program, and I really appreciate that. Not only the players that I had the privilege to coach, but those who played under Coach Watson as well. And I guess I could leave it at that. A wise coach once said, "Hey, Coach, how do you like your team?" And he said, "I'll let you know in 30 years." Okay. Well, I can look out here right now and tell you I really like my teams.
Awesome. Congratulations, Coach. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, Terry. As one of those members of Kappa Sig who used to load up with some pots and pans and make the trek across the road to Dayton Arena back in the day. Very grateful for all that you've done for Bowdoin and for me personally. Congratulations. Our final presenter this afternoon is a senior and tri-captain on our men's tennis team, Reed Staples. A double major in economics and mathematics, Reed was part of a doubles team that won the ITA Regional Championship and earned Division III All-American honors last season. Additionally, he helped lead our men's tennis team to a 17-5 record and an appearance in the NCAA Elite Eight last spring. Please join me in welcoming Reed Staples.
Thank you, Tim. Good afternoon. I'm Reed Staples, a senior and captain on the men's tennis team here at Bowdoin. This afternoon, it is my pleasure to welcome national champions Oscar Pena and Stephen Sullivan into the Bowdoin Athletic Hall of Honor. Oscar Pena of the class of 2012 and Stephen B. Sullivan of the class of 2011. You were each extraordinary accomplished tennis players in your own right, but together you formed a doubles team that reached the pinnacle of the sport for the first time in the history of the Bowdoin tennis program. Each of you achieved remarkable success over your 4 years at Bowdoin, leading your men's tennis teams to NCAA tournament appearances 3 times each. Stephen was an NCAA semifinalist and quarterfinalist in singles and led the team to the 2008 NESCAC championship. He remains in the top 5 in Bowdoin men's tennis history for career doubles wins and in the top 10 for career singles wins. Oscar was an NCAA runner-up in men's doubles and remains in Bowdoin's top 10 all-time for doubles wins in a season. Each of you was selected as an NCAA Division III All-American 3 times. But it was as a partnership that you achieved your greatest and most historic success. In the 2011 NCAA Division III men's tennis tournament, you began with an opening round win over the doubles team from North Carolina Wesleyan. You followed that convincing victory with a win over UC Santa Cruz in the quarterfinals and another over Washington University in the semifinals. In the finals, you overcame a pairing from Claremont Mudd Scripps, the host of the tournament, in straight sets to capture Bowdoin's first ever national title in tennis. Yours was a victory that brought the Bowdoin men's tennis program to a previously unseen level of success, and it paved the way for sustained excellence and multiple future national championships in the years to come. For the legacy that your historic title established in the men's tennis program and for your contributions to the Bowdoin Athletics program, we are pleased to celebrate your induction to the Bowdoin College Athletic Hall of Honor.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Oh, we got 2 mics here. Ready to go. Nice ties, beautiful.
True doubles fashion.
True doubles, yeah.
These are from back in the day.
Are they from back in the day?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a team gift at the end of the year one year, so we had to bring them out.
Still got it. Very appropriate. How did you guys end up as doubles partners, and what was your first reaction? Because obviously accomplished singles players as well. Stephen, if you want to start, and Oscar, you can jump in.
So what's funny is we both grew up in Miami. We both knew each other before. We actually were just reminiscing that we shared a tennis coach at one point in the past. But at Bowdoin, we never really had the opportunity to play together because in Bowdoin, in tennis, in college tennis, the doubles is really important because there's a total of 8 points. The first 3 points that are played are doubles. So usually you try to distribute the different teammates so you can maximize the amount of points you win. So we were usually the strongest doubles players, but we were spread amongst other teams. And it wasn't until kind of my senior year, his junior year, that we were teamed together at the end with just enough time for us to get an opportunity to accumulate enough wins to join the national tournament. So.
Oscar, yeah, when you heard you're going to be paired together, was it click like that because you guys come from the same area, same coach? What was it like? Was there an adjustment period?
Maybe a little. It's hard to find the right teammate, especially as a coach. So he was always trying new things. So somewhat used to the change and finding the right pairings, but obviously had full confidence in Steve with the player that he is, and was super excited early on, I believe. Yeah.
Why did it work? Why did it work so well? The combination.
I think Oscar's a very strong net player and has very strong double skills, and I think I was very strong in doubles, and we just had a really strong chemistry. So at least in Division III tennis, you can be somewhat strategic with how you set yourself up, and I think we both brought different skills to the match and complemented each other in a very good way.
Yeah, like seeing what, like, obviously both in matches and in practice, we knew what we could do together, I think, and just having that trust, either behind you or in front of you, and you know he was there. A lot of very confidence inspiring.
What about the mentality? One of you maybe more fiery, one of you more the calm, you hit one into the net, it's one swearing, one saying, no, we got this. What was the dynamic like, between the two personalities?
That's actually a really good point. I think part of finding the right match, right pair, is part of it's the way you play, but it's also your personality and your dynamic. You want a fiery person with someone who tends to be more quiet, because it's very high pressure, and you want to be able to have those two different energies on the court. I'm definitely, I think, more the fiery guy. Oscar's definitely a little more on the quiet side. But when the pressure's on, he stays steady. I can get excited. So it's just a good kind of balancing act.
I always think I get excited, but no. It never seems like it does.
When you get the 2011 run, as you start to get into that tournament, by the time you reached the tournament, did you know what you had? And at what point did you say, we have a good chance here to win this whole thing and make history?
I can start with this. Well, for me, it was, tennis is a very high pressure sport. You kind of, every time you play, you're thinking about winning, you're thinking about, okay, you're playing a tournament, I got to achieve all these things, I got to play great. But I had just finished playing the singles tournament, and I had this very rare moment where I just had very little expectations when we entered the doubles tournament, and I felt very present. I didn't feel any pressure, and I think there was just some energy that we had in that moment. It was my last, every match was going to be my last match of my career. So I just had this, I feel like I had this really beautiful experience where I felt, and he felt as well, very present in the moment. And we started off the tournament, we had some good wins. I think one of our toughest matches was in the quarters or semifinals where we beat this team. We lost the first set and we ended up winning in the third set. Saying to ourselves, okay, like we took out the guys that we thought were probably the toughest, and we just kind of kept trekking on to the finals and just had a good finals.
Yeah. Definitely being there before and like getting close. I knew it was possible, but doubles it can change in a heartbeat because the points are so quick and it's really fast to change momentum. But once you get on a roll, and just knowing that we were both solid enough, I knew at some point we were going to get on that roll, and then it was going to be hard to beat us. So it's pretty confident.
What does it mean to be a part of, Steven, specifically for you, you had that 08 year, you won the NESCAC title, and then you guys do this, and then a couple of years after you graduate, the success even keeps going with the trifecta and men's singles, doubles, the women having a lot of success. What does that mean to you to be in an era where things really started to lift off?
I just when we were talking about this, when we first found out we were going to be honored, the first thought was, wow, I feel super lucky and also super grateful because we were just sort of building on what was already being built. Our coach, Colin Joyner, was a top player. When he was there, he ended up being a coach, which is an important piece of the story moving forward. So for us, it feels, we're just grateful that we had the opportunity, that the program was already at a point where it was sort of a platform for success. So yes, we came, we worked hard, we achieved, and we had a great team, a great coach, great leadership. But, the program had to be at a certain point for us to even be able to have an opportunity to have that moment. So definitely a lot of gratitude.
Yeah, definitely. We knew the team was special, wins or not, from just being with each other and the history of the program and the alumni, and just like having us win and then that be followed up has been amazing to watch and see the growth of the program continue, and it's just really special.
Yeah, I want to say one last thing. Also, it's just amazing. The tennis program, shout out to the tennis team. They've been doing so amazing. Our year, we were a very strong singles team, And so double was something that we drilled over and over and over again. And as a singles player, when you grow up when you're before college, you don't play much doubles. You mostly compete in singles. So you have to learn so much while you're there. And so doubles was a big theme for us that year, trying to figure out how do we get the doubles point. And I think the program has been doing a really good job of, they've been amazing at doubles and they've had such tremendous success. So I just want to give a shout out to Connor. He's been doing a really good job with the program.
That's one of the things about college tennis too, is that you think of tennis and you think of an individual sport.
Yeah.
But it's not that. You got to get your points. There's singles, there's doubles, but you guys you have fall season, spring season. You're almost in your own world where you're hitting at noon in the field house and you're traveling to this place and the next. How important was it to have that team kind of culture that you were talking about, even though it's a singles or a doubles match when you're kind of all alone?
Yeah, huge. Definitely a huge change from, let's say, high school tennis, where you really don't have anyone to fall back on. And at Bowdoin, you have like the best community of your friends, and it's incredible both just to talk about school or anything else and just get your mind off. Steven's a very silly man at times, and it helps you relax on those long road trips and the long days that can lead from a match, and definitely incredible.
Yeah, and then I think my freshman year, when you're playing singles, you think you're on your own, but I remember when we won NESCACs my freshman year, it was the first time I really felt this idea of momentum. It's like, okay, I'm playing my match, I'm playing against this person. It's a vacuum, right? It's whatever we do on the court is whatever the result is. But then we would feel these huge energy swings across multiple courts where the tides would sort of change, and it's really interesting to see that, those kind of external factors really have a big influence. And I think in order for those momentum swings to be big and advantageous, you really have to have really strong team culture and really a lot of chemistry between each other, and really feel like your teammates really care about you and really care that you win. So that's a big piece of it.
Any last remarks from either of you? Memories, people you want to thank, or even messages to the current team? We've had a lot of current teams here. Of the players, things that you look back on, messages you might want to say to them, or just thank yous in general?
For the current team, trust your decisions. You might never have a collective goal with your friends, and striving for that is amazing. So trust yourselves and go for it. Otherwise, they're very thankful to my parents for driving me around Florida all the time, growing up, and my mom's passion for tennis, and my dad as well for any sport, instilling that in me was amazing.
Yeah, I want to shout out to my parents too. I was playing 4 sports. I really loved soccer, and my mom really encouraged me to play tennis. And it's tough because all your friends are playing every other sport. You kind of feel like you're on your own playing tennis. So when you go to college, it's like the first time I'm finally, playing with friends again. It's amazing. So they want to thank them for encouraging me to stay the road, and thank one of my high school coaches, Brad Jeffries and Colin Joyner, and the whole athletic department here. And I want to say to shout out, my wife just had a baby, so I have a 2-month-old newborn at home. So just want to shout out.
There we go.
Shout out to my wife. Just want to say to the tennis team and all the athletes out here, I think just enjoy the moment. Everyone says that to you, but it's just such a special thing. And weekends like this make you reminisce a lot. It's just amazing to be a student athlete and have these types of experiences. So cherish it. Be present as much as you can.
Yeah. Congratulations to both of you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Oscar and Stephen. Please join me in one last round of applause for all of our inductees today. And another thank you to Dave Peck for hosting our conversations. Very well done. Thanks, Dave. So a great day to be on campus. And as always, it's a great day to be a polar bear. So thank you very much for being here. Have a great day.